Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to be looking closer at the life and art of Keith Haring. He's an iconic figure from the 1980s art scene. You've given us some great biographical info to dig into here, and we're going to chart his path from those early days, drawing alongside his dad, all the way to becoming a globally recognized artist whose work still grabs our attention today. It's going to be a fascinating journey.
And it's remarkable how Haring, using what seems like a simple style on the surface, was able to tackle really complex themes: life, death, love, social justice. His art truly spoke to people from all walks of life.
I'm curious about his early influences, especially that interesting detail about his dad being a cartoonist. Not something you expect from an engineer. Did that family dynamic shape his visual style in any way?
It's certainly a strong possibility. Think about the bold outlines in Haring's work. That crispness, the way it defines his forms, it's reminiscent of the way cartoonists use line work to emphasize shapes and movement. It wouldn't be surprising if those hours spent watching his dad draw had a lasting impact on his visual language.
That makes a lot of sense. So from doodling with dad, we jump to Haring's brief stint at a commercial arts school. Sounds like he quickly realized that wasn't the path for him. He even had a solo exhibition before heading to New York City at the School of Visual Arts in 1978. Was there a specific event or encounter that Haring described as pivotal to his development in that scene?
He spoke quite vividly about discovering the vibrant underground art scene that was bubbling beneath the surface of the established art world. It was a time when art wasn't just confined to galleries, it spilled into the streets, the clubs, alternative spaces. Haring thrived in this environment, meeting and collaborating with other artists like Jean-Michel Basquiat and Kenny Scharf. They fueled each other's creativity, pushing boundaries, challenging norms. It was an incredibly fertile period for him.
Speaking of public spaces, Haring's use of the subway as his canvas was truly groundbreaking. What drew him to those unused advertising panels?
Imagine the visual. Black panels as his backdrop. White chalk creating these bold graphic images that just popped against that dark surface. It was a perfect marriage of form and function. And the subway itself became his performance space. Commuters would see him at work, sometimes engaging with him. And of course, there were those run-ins with the police, who weren't always so appreciative of his artistic endeavors.
He created so many of those subway drawings, up
Yeah.
to 40 in a single day, I've heard. I'm curious, with so many subway drawings, did Haring ever speak about the challenges or rewards of working in such a public and transient space?
He definitely felt a sense of urgency, knowing that his work was ephemeral, vulnerable to being covered up or cleaned away, but that also became part of the appeal. It forced him to work quickly, instinctively, embracing the immediacy of the moment, and there was something incredibly democratic about it, bringing art directly to the people, bypassing the traditional gatekeepers of the art world.
Let's dive into his signature style. Even to someone like me, who's not an art expert, there's something so recognizable about those bold lines, vibrant colors, and recurring motifs. What's going on there?
It's all about distillation, taking complex ideas and boiling them down to their essence, making them instantly accessible. Look at his color choices, for example. He often favored primary colors: red, yellow, blue. Alongside black and white contrasts, these are colors that speak directly to our emotions, evoking a sense of energy and immediacy. And those bold outlines aren't just decorative, they define forms, create movement, and guide the viewer's eye through the composition. Haring knew how to create visual impact with minimal means.
It's like he developed his own visual language, one that everyone could understand.
That's exactly it. He tapped into something universal, using symbols and archetypes that resonated across cultural boundaries. The radiant baby, for example, became a symbol of innocence and hope. The barking dog with its playful energy represented freedom and unrestrained joy, and those figures with TVs for heads. A powerful commentary on the influence of media and technology, a theme that resonates even more today.
From underground artist to international acclaim, Haring's rise in the 1980s was remarkable. Solo exhibitions, group shows, appearances at prestigious events like Documenta 7 and the Whitney Biennial. It all happened so quickly. For those of us who may not be familiar with those events, could you explain their significance in the art world?
Think of them as major platforms for contemporary art, places where curators, critics, and collectors converge to discover the latest trends and most exciting artists. Documenta, held every 5 years in Germany, is known for its large-scale installations and thought-provoking concepts. The Whitney Biennial, a showcase of American art, has launched the careers of many important artists. For Haring to be included in these events so early in his career speaks volumes about the impact he was already making.
And he didn't just exhibit his work. He collaborated with everyone from pop stars like Madonna and Grace Jones to fellow artists like Andy Warhol He even designed for brands like Swatch and Absolute Vodka.
He was a master at blurring the lines between high art and popular culture. He believed that art should be accessible to everyone, not just confined to galleries and museums. And his collaborations were a way to reach new audiences, break down barriers, and challenge conventional notions of what art could be.
And then there's the Pop Shop, which opened in 1986. That certainly generated some strong opinions. Can you tell us more about the shop and the reactions it provoked?
Imagine walking into a retail store in Soho and being surrounded by a black and white mural created by Keith Haring himself. That was the Pop Shop. It was a space where you could buy t-shirts, toys, posters, all emblazoned with his iconic imagery. Some critics saw it as a betrayal of his artistic integrity, a crass commercialization of his work. But for Haring, it was a way to democratize art, make it affordable and accessible to anyone who wanted it. It really sparked a debate about the nature of art and commerce. Could you maintain artistic integrity while also engaging with mass production and consumerism? Haring believed you could.
And it's interesting that he had the support of someone like Andy Warhol, who also famously blurred those lines between art and commerce.
Absolutely. Warhol was a key figure in the pop art movement, which challenged the elitism of the art world. Embracing imagery from popular culture and mass media, Haring's Pop Shop was a natural extension of those ideas. It also resonated with his deep commitment to social activism.
So the Pop Shop wasn't just a business venture. It was a statement.
Precisely. It was a way to engage with a wider audience, spark conversations, and perhaps even challenge preconceived notions about art itself.
And that commitment to social causes was a driving force throughout his career, from the Crack is Whack mural in Harlem to the Statue of Liberty mural he created with 900 children. Haring used his art to address pressing issues and inspire change. Those murals, especially Crack is Whack, are so iconic. Can you tell us more about their context and the impact they had?
Crack is Whack emerged during the height of the crack cocaine epidemic in the 1980s. Haring saw the devastating effects firsthand. Particularly in marginalized communities, he painted the mural on a handball court wall in a Harlem park, a space where people gathered, played, and lived their lives. It was a bold statement impossible to ignore. That brought the crisis into the public consciousness. The Statue of Liberty mural, created in 1986 for the centennial celebration, was a collaborative project involving hundreds of children from diverse backgrounds. It was a powerful message of unity and hope, a celebration of America's ideals and a call for inclusivity.
Haring didn't shy away from difficult subjects, did he? Love, death, war, social harmony. These are all themes woven throughout his work. It's like he took his personal experiences and filtered them through this vibrant, accessible visual language that everyone could connect with.
His art had this incredible ability to be both playful and profound, inviting you to contemplate complex issues, while also experiencing a sense of joy and energy. He didn't preach, he invited dialogue. He used humor, wit, and those unforgettable symbols to draw you in, to make you think, to feel.
It's remarkable how much he accomplished in such a short life. His work ethic was legendary.
He was constantly creating, driven by a seemingly boundless energy and a deep desire to connect with the world. He also believed in the power of collaboration. He worked with other artists, dancers, musicians. He even designed stage sets and costumes.
It seems like he embraced every opportunity to push boundaries and experiment with different mediums.
He wasn't content to stay within the confines of traditional art practices. He saw art as a living, breathing thing that could exist anywhere, take on any form. And his willingness to collaborate speaks to his generosity of spirit, his desire to amplify voices and create something truly unique through shared experiences.
It's clear that Haring was deeply committed to his art. But what was he like as a person?
By all accounts, he was incredibly kind, compassionate, and generous. He had this infectious energy and a mischievous sense of humor. He cared deeply about people, especially those who were marginalized or suffering, and he believed in using his platform to make a difference.
His diagnosis with AIDS in 1988 must have been devastating, but it seems like he channeled that experience into even greater activism.
He faced his illness with incredible courage and used his art to fight stigma and raise awareness. He created powerful images that addressed the fear, the isolation, and the misinformation surrounding the disease. He also continued to champion causes he believed in, fighting for LGBTQ+ rights and advocating for social justice.
And his legacy lives on, not only through his artwork, but also through the Keith Haring Foundation, which he established in 1989 to support children's programs and organizations dedicated to raising AIDS awareness.
It's a testament to his enduring belief in the power of art to inspire, educate, and create positive change.
We've covered a lot of ground here, but there's one question that keeps coming back to me. Why does Haring's work continue to resonate so strongly even decades after his death?
I think it speaks to the timelessness of his themes and the universality of his visual language. He tapped into something essential about the human experience, our desires, our fears, our struggles, our hopes, and he did it in a way that was both accessible and deeply moving.
His art had this uncanny ability to make you think and feel at the same time.
Absolutely, it was thought-provoking, challenging, but also joyful, vibrant, full of life. He didn't offer easy answers. He invited you to engage, to question, to experience the full spectrum of emotions. And that's what great art does. It stays with you long after you've encountered it, prompting you to see the world in new ways.
There's a certain energy and optimism that emanates from his work, even when he's dealing with difficult subjects.
That's the power of his spirit shining through. He faced adversity with grace, humor, and an unwavering belief in the power of art to make a difference. And that's a message that continues to inspire and resonate with people today.
It really is amazing how relevant his work feels today. Those figures with TVs for heads, as you mentioned earlier, they could have been created yesterday. With how much our lives revolve around screens and social media.
It's as if he had this incredible foresight, this ability to tap into those underlying currents that shape our relationship with technology. And it's not just the imagery. His messages about love, unity, and social justice are as urgent now as they were back then.
We're still grappling with issues of equality, discrimination, and the fight for basic human rights. Haring's art reminds us that we can't be complacent.
Exactly. It's a call to action, a reminder that we each have a responsibility to engage with the world around us and work towards positive change. And he does it in such an engaging way. There's something about his visual language that draws you in, makes you want to be a part of the conversation.
There's a sense of hopefulness, even when he's addressing difficult subjects. It's like he's saying, yes, the world can be a tough place, but we have the power to make it better.
That's the beauty of his work. It acknowledges the darkness, but always points towards the light. It's a reminder that even in the face of adversity, we can choose hope, we can choose action, we can choose love.
As we wrap up this deep dive into Keith Haring's life and work, what final thought would you like to leave our listener with today?
I think Haring's story encourages us to embrace our own creativity and use it as a force for good in the world. It doesn't have to be on a grand scale. Even small acts of creative expression can have a ripple effect, whether it's painting, writing, dancing, or simply spreading a message of kindness. We each have the potential to make a difference. Haring showed us that art can be a powerful tool for connection, communication, and change. So go out there, find your voice, and use it to make the world a little brighter.
What an inspiring message. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey into the life and work of Keith Haring. We hope you've enjoyed this deep dive
Yeah.
and come away feeling energized and ready to tap into your own creative potential.